Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so thrilled that you have decided to join us for our One Piece One Chat talkback, where we talk about the Lavender Scale Pirates and the amazing journey that we have been on for not one, but two whole ass seasons. That's right, they are whole ass, just like us, the Lavender Scale Pirates. My name is Jess. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. And throughout our seasons of this amazing fun game, I played King Coralie, who uses not any and all pirates, but any and all pronouns.
That was
I
so good.
hated watching that last night. I had tears in my eyes. And with that being said, I am going to pass things over to Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan Pixel, Pyxel, they, them, and on the 2 seasons of this so far, I have portrayed Ash Carter, a former Marine, and now full-time pirate. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about her. I love her very much, and I'm happy she's got to where she is. I will pass it over to Julie.
Hey, I am Julian or Julie CL. I have been playing Esmer, the owner of the Bug Fruit model Grasshopper, our kick chick of the group, our bug thug. Um, and it's been such a pleasure getting a second season, getting time skip hockey powers and all the stuff that every One Piece fan dreams about. And I'll pass it over to the creator of the system that enables so much genre flexibility, creativity, and flexible worlds and characters, Dennis.
I might be able to create flexible worlds and systems, but I myself cannot touch my own toes without bending my knees. Hi, I'm Dennis.
Okay, Tom.
I I ran both seasons of the One Piece that we played here on this lovely channel. It's been so much fun the whole time. And I'm here to ask, or at least start off asking questions. If y'all in chat have questions for anyone on screen about the One Piece games that we've been in, please just throw them in there. And we'll do our best to keep our eye on them and make sure they don't fly by. But to start off, Dan, you are not one of the crew's devil fruit users.
No.
So if Ash ate a devil fruit, what do you think it would be?
I think I actually thought about this last time we were doing the talk back, and I did have an answer for this, and I think my answer is actually going to stay the same, which is I pictured something like something bubble, which is like would turn her into a bubble person, but the bubbles themselves are not just bubbles; they're actually bombs, because that's the kind of
I recall this now.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of vibe that she would go for, and I did seriously consider asking you if I could do that during our time skip discussion. And like thinking about it now, if I had done it and we had gone the same way to get to where we were, I think she still would have jumped off the boat when she did. I think she still would have dove after Zelio. And it would have like been a very different like moment, but that was definitely like I was thinking about that at that moment. But yeah, no, same thing. Bubble, bombs.
Amazing. Similar question for you, Julie. I know it's so iconic. Almost every iconic line is about grasshoppers. But if Esmer had a different devil fruit, what do you think it would be?
That is a great question. I think that Esmer is a force of nature kind of regardless of what their power is, and they're actually kind of just nerfed by being a bug, because if Esmer controlled like fire or wind, we wouldn't have a ship. So I think we would have had a very different story if we gave Esmer an elemental devil fruit. But yeah, I think that would be a very fun arc for them as well, especially because it would enable the revenge against King Dial and everything much faster. if they could have just like pointed their finger and like shot a stream of fire or wind in that direction.
That there would have been much less talking across whenever an enemy was involved. Absolutely. Because in the finale, it was Esmer who got to shout the code for "Let's fight now," right?
It was well, Coralie prompted Esmer, but yes.
It was a
Fight
good
time.
prompt, you know? Esmer always knows just the perfect thing to say, and you don't fuck with our cabbages. Like, how dare Hornigold talk shit about Sir Cabbage? Terribly mean. Terribly mean.
Terribly mean, and I think that was a very good setup from our GM as well. You know,
Yeah.
we weren't sure what was going to get us into action, but then that ties together all the pre-recorded post-credit scenes, just being like, yeah, guess what? I messed with your cabbage, and then everyone's like, okay, well, officially, fuck you.
Like literally, it's just like we all got quiet.
That is
Like,
what happened.
what?
Like there's a trope in writing called I think it's called kicking the dog.
Yeah.
And it's basically you do something awful to show that this person is awful. And I figured, you know what, I gotta do that here and make him like he's not in an action mode. He was a very like sit back and let them screw themselves over and I'll wait for my window of opportunity, and that's exactly what he did. Like you got like your two fishermen jumped off the ship leaving nobody but the cook on there. And they're like, okay, yeah, we can take this very easily right now. And so you guys didn't have a ship when you got back. But I think with his like, because that's the way he was, it needed to be something he said, because those were one of his words, were one of his weapons. And I figured, you know, they weren't going to stand for insults to their friends, and it had to be someone that wasn't here, so it could be entirely universal for the whole crew.
That's good thinking. That's good thinking. I can't answer this question because if Coralie didn't eat the human fruit, there would be no King Coralie. They would just be slithering around on Slither Island. So instead of answering that question, I want to flip it to you, Dennis. If Hornigold hadn't eaten his devil fruit, what would he have chosen to eat instead? Or if he had the choice?
So creating Captain Hornigold as a villain had a very specific process in mind, and it pretty much started from the devil fruit. Like I knew I wanted him to have some sort of transformation into this, like maybe with a little bit of a horror lean to it. And so I was like, what about the ocean is scary? Everything that's really deep is scary. So I started looking through pictures of the stuff down there and saying, which one of these would it be terrifying to turn into? And I came across the big fin squid and that like eerie green glow. I was like, this is classic what the fuck is down there moment. And so that's actually pretty much where I started with him. The second step was figuring out like what his name is, who he was. So Benjamin Hornigold, it was a real person and was part of the actual pirate era, with Edward Teach, also a real person, Captain Jack Rackham, you know, there, Anne Bonny. All these people were real people and actual pirates that, you know, lived in and around the Bahamas. And Benjamin Hornigold was well known for betraying the pirates and being one of the first ones to sign a contract with the government to become a privateer. And so I figured that is literally what the warlords are. Yeah. And so, and to make it even more of a mystery, I said, but there's famously only 7. Aha, but what if there was an 8th we didn't know about? And I just went from there. I don't really know. I think Slenderman came in with the picture of the big fin squid because their tentacles are just so long in comparison to the rest of their body.
It's on brand with the animal theming for the warlords. I love it.
Yeah, I did what I could. But as far as like to answer your question, what other power would he have had, or what other fruit would he have eaten? I really don't know, because being the consumer of the big fin fruit or whatever, I never actually named it. It was such like, it was the cornerstone on which I built the rest of the character. So if it had been a different power, different fruit, it'd be a totally different character.
I do love Lou's theory in the Discord during the session that he ate a Cthulhu fruit, like with the eldritch monstrosity, with the tentacle element, with the hypnosis and growing giant. Like the big fin squid is like a real animal, but if you told me this was like a mythical Zoan fruit for an old god or something like that, I would also have bought that entirely.
Absolutely.
100%, absolutely.
And for what it's worth, we did kill him, so that fruit's out there again.
Hate to hear that. Hate to hear it so much.
And the one who's going to eat that fruit, Leandre Spike.
Incredible.
Elio, I'm long now. Dennis, I have a question for you. Did you expect us to beat your pig pad in one round?
No, I did not. Like I said in the promos for the finale, this was the highest level streamed game of Sagas ever. So I really didn't know what to expect. I knew that at least Coralie had some world-breaking powers, so it was just like you can one-shot anything. And my storytelling style usually ends up being having a climax in the middle of a big fight with a boss, like single villain. And knowing that that villain can be turned to stone at any time, I had to get creative, and say, okay, maybe he also has some sort of vision power that fucks with it in weird ways. But yeah, I thought it would at least go 2 rounds. And in hindsight, I think I probably should have ended the combat before break, because when we got back from break, it was like a turn and then it was over.
But we still had a lot of good content,
We had great time.
Dan.
We needed time for the epilogue.
Hey, Ange, what if? Ooh woo. And speaking of, Dan, I'd really love to know how early you chose wanting some romance between Ash and Zelio. Was it a season 4? Season 4, everybody. We're just skipping right over season 3 and going right on to season 4. Was it an episode 4 decision, or were you thinking of setting that up in prior episodes? Because I'd need to go back to watch 1, 2, and 3. But I remember at the beginning of 4, you were like a little awkward and a little like, hey, I didn't like that. Why did you jump into the ocean? And then as soon as Ange was like, I'm turning away to go back upstairs, you were like, wait. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. It's on. I can tell.
So, first of all, let's not pretend like this just came from my brain. Like, this tracks back to season 1. This tracks back to season 1, actually. And part of it is like I create characters with the same way I create NPCs, which are any and all of them are romanceable at any point in time, unless there's something world-ending that would prevent that. And so I walked out with this character, and I didn't expect that. And then during the first couple scenes, everyone else was so on board with Ash. Everyone was just like, "Oh, new person, new friend. We like new friends." And Zelio was like, "The fuck are you all talking about? This is a stranger. Have you no sense?" And so then we got that scene in the kitchen, and I was just like, must maintain cover here. Don't blow that Ash is still a Marine at this point, is a Marine officer at this point. And it just got to the point where it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna roll in my clumsy thing, and it's like chopping onions with shit, right? Like, she fucked that up. And Zelio was just so kind. Zelio's like, I very much can see that you're hiding something, and I'm gonna let that ride because not that it's like my business, but I'm watching you. And I remembered that like for a while, and then and I think like we didn't talk about it at the time, but I think Ange picked up on that too, because then, and we can check with them after. I was hoping they were going to be here to bring this up, because then in the final fight of season 1, it finishes, and like before it even starts, Zelio goes out of their way to call her a lapdog because she's pissed at Ash for like seemingly betraying them. And so it gets to the end of the fight, and even while Zelio is still unconscious, like Ash just was like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, I'm a lapdog, but we can do good." And then they took that and flipped that on us right before the button. And I think that was when the seed was planted. And we talked a little bit between all of us about it afterwards in our Stars and Wishes. And I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. Like, maybe if we had continued, there would be something to that. And then before we started second season, Ange DM'd me and was like, hey, would you be okay if, like, Zelio flirted with Ash? And I would be like, I have wanted nothing more for season 2 than this. And so all of, like, season 2 was just both of us, like, pushing at that and like seeing what would become of it. And even in that final like fight moment, like we were DMing, and Edge was just like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. Like, because you like were gonna say something down in the boat before you got up on the deck, Zelio's absolutely gonna like confront you like mid battle, like Will and Elizabeth like pirate ship fight, like, yo, what were you going to say? Like, what were you about to do? The fight didn't last that long, but like then the moment itself like got to kind of happen. And so it's like it has been there since very early on, and I'm just kind of like really happy that just like kept like rolling along slowly.
And then there was Esmer, who was eavesdropping. I
Holy shit.
Wow,
loved
that was
that
brilliant.
so much. You and Ange going back and forth saying, what? Incredible. I love Esmer's innocence. I don't know if innocence is the right word. They're so playful
Naivety.
and yes. And I'd love to hear, Julie, why you chose to make her in that way.
Yeah, it's always a long process of character creation for me, and I'm often surprised at what ends up happening, especially coming from an improv background. I'm like, I will build the framework, but whatever happens, happens. I thought to my favorite arcs and favorite devil fruits from One Piece. My favorite arc is the CP9 and Water 7 arc, and the half transformations that Rob Lucci and Kaku and Jabra and all of them did. So I was like, let's start from that angle. And I kind of considered doing like a bull type character. I thought that might be nice and fun and genderqueer too, for like, I don't know, like an AFAB person to like have like a bull fruit or something like that. But I started looking into insect type fruits and saw they were only had by the dwarves in Dressrosa. So I'm like, okay, you know what? There's a lot of room to play within that. We'll go from there. So I started mechanically. I was like, all right, this person's going to be like a little bit of a martial melee fighter, like a little bit reckless. I worked backwards with the One Piece tragic backstory, which I don't think I described it in a talkback before, but I think I probably talked to Dennis individually about it at one point, that I feel like the way Oda does tragic backstories is he introduces a wacky character quirk, and then 30 chapters later, there is a tragic reason for it. So Esmer always saying what they are doing and who they are at all times ties back to being a nonverbal child whose brother, as he was being taken away, said, you need to like let the world know who you are. So that's kind of how Esmer became who they were. And I'm thinking about it now. I think by the end of their story, the role in the crew was kind of like Luffy without leadership skills. You know, there to introduce zaniness, there to introduce comedy through powers and antics, and roping everybody out of their shell. But that's not something I planned from the beginning. I built that groundwork and then kind of just let it all happen and found people to bounce off of.
I love that.
Anyone can go.
That was because I was on like 4 hours of sleep, and whatever fell out of my mouth
Really?
that whole session was
Oh,
on
shit.
accident.
Just died at that. It was
It was perfectly timed. It was so fucking funny.
And so, Dan, something that we got to see in season 2 with Ash is her wearing a dress, and she seemed incredibly flustered when she got caught in combat wearing the dress. And so, I'd love to hear from you. One, why that was, and two, what were your inspirations for her iconic purple tones?
Ooh, okay. I think with this, it's like one of the things I wanted to explore with her this time around was what it was like for her no longer being a part of the Navy and what that meant for her and how she was like spending her time like trying to relax this shell that she built around herself from a very young age and from like the time where she got sort of adopted by Reed per se. Not like adopted, but sort of like mentor adopted back when he was still like not a douchebag. And the choice to like let her dress in ways that were less suited to the possibility of combat was one where it's like her thinking, I don't have to be on edge all the time now. And that was both her like gaining a healthier perspective on like her dream of being a royal guard her whole life and the sort of things that the Navy had put into her. And so releasing that was still like in a very new stage for her, and getting caught in combat in that was very like, oh, I don't like this. This is like blending a thing before I'm ready for it. But there was something cute, and again, like Zelio like complimenting her in that moment. And she just like didn't quite know what to do with it. So that like was at least a positive reinforcement for her, if nothing else. As for the purple, the striped suit thing comes from like Navy officers. They all like seem to have like those like sharp, crisp suits with the pinstripes on it. I wish I could remember what inspired purple. I suspect it's probably something to do with Wisteria, which is like a thing I built into her like theme. Like her rifle is named Wisteria because that's a Dan thing. Like I love Wisteria. It's my favorite flower for familial reasons. It has a lot to do with like my family, and I just like that particular color scheme is one that sometimes I'm like, I want to put that into my character.
I love that. We also had a question specifically for Briar about Leandre, and so I'm going to read this out and then I'm going to read Briar's response. So the question is that Briar has joked a lot about how Leandre is a princess, but we want to talk about how Leandre literally just like picked himself up from getting shot and just like brushed it off. So we want to know how much of his energy is just pretending to be a nervous little guy, and are they actually a mastermind beneath it all? And this is Briar's response. Leandre has the ability to be a good strategist, but above all, he is lazy and will only get creative if his life counts on it. He truly just likes living and will do whatever he must to achieve that. But he is truly a nervous mess. There's no pretending on that front.
I love it. I love Leandre.
Oh, every single beat of story that Leandre has been a part of has been phenomenal. Like there's no part of that character that I think I could improve, at least. Like it was really, really fun to be the GM in that situation and just let Briar go, take this character and do character things. It was so much fun.
What I love about Leandre is when it is done well, a character who refuses to go through development when everybody around them can be so fun. Like Leandre will always be just a coward trying to scrape by, and I feel like there were a few like moments where it was teased, you know, like, oh, Leandre, like, you're not going back to the Navy, and Briar's response of, Yeah, they'd kill me. It was so funny. It wasn't
lost
like
it.
it wasn't
was so good.
because I've grown to like all of you, or because we're a little family. It's like, are you crazy? Of course not.
The timing on that.
It was the first, I think it was right at the beginning of episode 2 this season, where Inkray had just sliced a ship in half. We cut the episode, and then we come back, and the other 2 ships are going away, and Leander's like, no.
I
That
mean,
is the
you did
perfect time.
exactly what he did. He went. He froze.
No, he's just like, no, come back. That's exactly what happened. Thank you, Internet, for cooperating for once.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
And I think it's a testament to Briar as well, because I think a lot of folks who play TTRPGs, they want to play someone who is that hero type. Because when you play as a TTRPG, you are the hero of that story, but Leandre wasn't necessarily the hero. And I think that's really fun to play against that, and to just be a guy trying to survive, surrounded by violence, surrounded by people that they don't necessarily care for, but will grow over many, 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 many years to hopefully like just a little bit.
Or not.
Or not, you know?
Or not.
Free will, he has it. He can leave at any time.
I have questions for Jess, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
I do too, but you go ahead first.
Incredible, the Jess Gauntlet. So, when you were starting off this campaign, it feels like what I found so fun and interesting about it is you amassed a bunch of One Piece superfans when you were relatively early on in the series, and now, you know, you're over the hill. You're almost caught up. I'm
at like episode 760 now. It's still got a ways to go.
There's not a lot of arcs left though. They're
Yeah.
big arcs, but you're almost there. And I'm kind of curious, like, how your relationship to the series and what it might bring out of you creatively has changed. Like, I think it's so amazing that, you know, everything you created with Corley, in my opinion, is almost more interesting than what we got out of Boa Hancock, you know? Like, who is a similar, like, Snake Emperor type. So how, from a One Piece baby to a One Piece adult, how's it all feeling, Jess?
Yeah, I feel like I've really grown, because I think when Dennis and I were first chatting about creating the series, I think I was maybe 100 episodes in. And so I had to be like, no spoilers, please. Like every other sentence, I feel like. I have gone back to the Discord to look at most of the spoilers, the spoiler tags at least. And I even went back after watching the Amazon, Amazon Lily arc to listen to like the 1 minute that I couldn't listen on the last talk back. It's nice to be mostly caught up with y'all. And it's also very interesting because I remember when we put the call out to folks on Twitter who might be interested in setting sail with us in April. We're doing something One Piece related. There was someone who said, "Oh, I'm just a casual One Piece fan. I'm only 600 episodes in." And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I've watched like 100 at this point. So that, like, I don't know, it made me feel a certain type of way. But I don't want to say that I sped through, but like Brandon and I really invested in watching. It was something that we didn't watch without one another, which kind of sucked because I was like, I'm ready to watch One Piece. And he's like, can we take a break? I was like, no, not really. And then it really was interesting because I came up with like 3 different ideas. I was going to eat the human fruit to become King Corley, King of the Snakes. I would have had a devil fruit where I would have like tails, a wing, and horns.
Double, fruit.
Exactly. Or I would have eaten the map fruit and like become like a sentient map person. But that's like from a TTRPG that Brandon and I play. It's a character that he hates. It goes map powering on anytime it hears the word map, and he's like, map, shut off. And so that would have just been really fun for me. But we hadn't watched Amazon Lily when I came up with Coralie, and I didn't even know that like
So wild.
Hancock was a person. I like had known of Doflamingo. I had like seen photos of Law, but I like hadn't heard his name. And so when Boa Hancock like got revealed in the series, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, what is going on? And then Brandon was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not. What the fuck is this? So it's been really, really rewarding being able to go from a little One Piece baby to a One Piece adult, and like having this series in game evolve as I evolve as well.
Hell yeah.
It was very, very interesting to create Coralie and Coralie's backstory with you and make it feel like, because I knew you didn't know anything about Amazon Lily. And so I was trying desperately hard to make it feel like more than off-brand Amazon Lily. You know, I needed to make it not just legally distinct. I wanted to help make it unique, and I think we managed it.
Snake
And
Island,
you know,
baby.
Totally.
Not only was I working with you to create this, but I also worked with Adam first. So like Adam kept a tight lid on it. He didn't like spill any of the beans.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, this is a really cool idea. How can I help make this work? And so we like created names of like Slither Island and the Scale Kingdom together and all sorts of things before I knew this was a thing. And then I remember when we finally found a Scale Kingdom, Dan was like, oh my god, it's Amazon Lily. And I was like, huh, what's that? And then come to find out, that's another place. So very, very interesting to be a part of it in that way.
I have a follow-up.
I think
sorry.
Dennis
Yeah,
has
go
something.
ahead.
That's right.
he wanted to ask Jess.
I do, but if yours is mine's less relevant right now.
Mine is like again another Coralie creation question, but there's an order. Go.
Huh? What? Go. What? What's happening?
I'm just gonna say
okay.
Dan go, because it's character creation related.
At what point in your
Yes.
character creation process was it like Coralie is going to be the most carefree Kiwi? Like where did that come from? And like not only that, like of everyone, you had the most specific wardrobe. Like it was a very specific description. It was the sunglasses, which had practical purpose, but also like the bralette and mesh top was like very, very iconic. And like honest to God, like I love Ange's drawings of all of us. Like I can't look at like Coralie specifically, that drawing, and just not hear, hello friend. Like I can't. And so like I just kind of want to know, like, where did that come from? Like what was the inspiration of like this voice and this attitude for someone who is going to be like King of the Pirates?
You know, it's really funny because when I first started thinking of them, they were a different character. I wanted them to be a mixture, and I even have this in a DM to Adam still. I wanted them to be a mixture of Luffy and also Meg from Hercules. I wanted them to be hot. Like, they were almost Boa Hancock without the Luffy part. Like, and then the day that we started playing, Ange made a joke about like my character blushing or flirting or someone, and I said, no, this character is so ace. They are not interested in flirting. Meg is getting ripped away. Hate that for them. And so they changed on like within the first 15 minutes of us recording. And then things just kind of started falling into place. I love taking someone who's supposed to be a leader and kind of flipping that on its head of like being a little unsure, like, this is what we should do if you guys agree. Like, everyone thinks that this is what we should do, right? Because if this isn't what you guys think we should do, we should totally change it. And then just going with the flow and having fun. The reason that Coralie wanted to be King of the Pirates is because they thought it would be fun. They heard about it in a letter from Cabbage, and they were like, I could do that. If I could be King of the Snakes, I could be King of the Pirates. Easy peasy. And then the Kiwi accent. I was big in my Kiwi accent time. And I was like, oh, they're going to be sailing? That makes sense to have that specific accent. And so I wish that there was more to it, but unfortunately there's not.
I think mine is sort of related now. So King Coralie, captain of the Lavender Scale Pirates, isn't normally the one to issue orders to the Lavender Scale Pirates. So how did Coralie get comfortable with Zelio sort of taking the lead and being the type A personality in almost every situation?
You know, Dan's just typed in Zelio to the cannons! And I think that Zelio probably was used to being in charge. And so I can't remember back to our, like, first time we got into real combat on a ship. But I have a feeling that Zelio would have, like, issued an order, and then Coralie would have been like, huh, I'm supposed to do that. But I like the way it sounds from them. That works for me. Because, again, they don't want to be the person who's, like, issuing orders, unless the order is to, like, Leandre, and it's, have fun. We're scheduled to have fun right now. Come on, let's go. Chop, chop. So
that's still one of my favorite recurring bits is the ship schedule.
I just loved everything that Briar was able to add in. That was so much fun. 100%. So, would you guys like to shift a little bit and maybe explore some, like, I don't know, season 3? I've heard some rumblings. Yeah?
See, before we get into season 3, I just want to say I will say that, like, I love us. I love this campaign. I love this storytelling. I love this like system. One of the biggest reasons that I want to have a season 3 is because I am the only player in 2 fucking seasons that did not use their fucking stab at all. And I just want to use some tremendous anime bullshit.
So I think what I'm hearing is for season 3, Dan gets 3 uses of stab.
We will be passing Asian American Heritage Month, so I think I will get one for that.
I mean, it has to be an additional 2 for that.
The precedent
Only
is
if we
set.
air during that month.
Boo.
May 2026, everybody.
Everybody get your tomatoes ready.
Why no use stab? Because we fucking killed the guy in 1 round.
Yeah, you said I'll go get my gun, and then we're still getting your gun when it was over.
Out with your
Wait,
gun, and he
whoa.
was.
Dennis, can I tell you? Because remember before that fight, like before the game, I was like asking you about stuff, and you got this like really suspicious look on your face. Can I tell you what my absolutely game-breaking plan was?
Yes, I need to hear it because the game did break. In
It
case
did.
you weren't watching, the game did break. So.
So, one of the reasons I fought for that second stab point was because I thought I was going to have to use it to save Zelio, but didn't. Anyway, but I had 2 plans. And this actually kind of has something that I kind of want to hear from everybody also, which is like the piece of backstory you didn't get to explore. Because I definitely like want to know everybody's on that. I was going to do like the One Piece like flashback unlock, where Ash remembered training on Amazon Lily with a character who exists named Rindo, who is the sniper of the snake pirates, and she walks around wearing like this long-sleeved vest and like no other shirt and has a giant-ass bazooka and really short hair. And I didn't know about her when I made Ash, and now I'm just like, holy shit, they definitely know each other. And I was going to do a flashback where she's like learning how to use hockey for the first time. And what I was going to do, if you were going to let me get away with it, was have spent my level up 2 points to get my hockey to level 7, and then used my stab to level it to 10, and see if you would let me get away with Color of the Supreme King hockey for just that fight. That was my plan.
Makes sense to me.
So, Color of the Supreme King just knocks out non-player characters, basically, right?
Yes, so I was going to clear the boat of all the, like, the squad of 20, and
all
then...
all the suit pirates. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
I
maybe
think
see if we
I
level 3
would
with the
have,
gun.
because GM strategy for combat. Minions are only there to take up actions from the players. Like, they are going to get hit, they are going to die, but the players need to use their action to do it.
You guys, I'm really
and that's
confused.
the reason they were there.
Because Dennis just said the GM's strategy for combat, but I thought that the GM's strategy for combat was getting turned to stone and then getting pushed off a boat.
That is the most consistent strategy.
It's been very, very dependable.
It's tried and true at this point.
Corley took all the level ups in one ability, said, I am just going to be really good at this one thing, and it has proven very effective.
Haha, Dennis wrote something that might be broken. Let's see if he breaks it even further if I ask for more levels.
Yeah, I mean, you are the one that wrote it. You are the one that wrote it.
I did write it.
You did make
that's
it.
why I can't complain about how it ended up. Like,
And honestly, like, the way I justify it in my head is, at this point, you are literally the highest level in Sagas. We are at the end of a second season. You are powerful enough to, like, get rid of big names in one hit. And that's exactly what happened. Like, one round and Horn of Gold was in the ocean already. And I think it's like another bright side to that is that another reason I'm glad it happened is because it gave it gave us more time for the epilogue. And I feel like while yes, the villain's important and scary and all that, what the story's really about, obviously, is the Lavender Scale pirates and their relationships with each other. So I wanted to spend as much time on that as possible. So I think it just worked out beautifully.
Before we get into season 3 planning, sorry, I know there have been a few tangents. Just sticking with the topic of potential stab things that could have happened. So what ended up happening in the final session is I took one level of control wind just in case I needed to knock a bunch of mooks off a boat, and that's exactly what ended up happening. But if we just had one big final boss, I would have had a new transformation for Esmer, and
hell yeah.
This might if we do a season 3 and we're playing the same characters, this might end up happening. But it's so far in the future, I feel like I might as well say it now. What would have happened? Esmer would have glowed green, started to power up, screamed, "Ah!" And then you would see their legs rotate 180 degrees in their socket, and then bend backwards. And then that would have been it. Then that would have been the whole transformation, and Ezra would have said, grasshoppers are famous for having legs that bend the other way. And then I just would have maxed out their martial abilities, and their ultimate transformation would have just been spinning their legs around.
Fuck yes.
Next time.
and if you also, Dennis, because I was fully aware that you could and maybe should say no to me if I was like, let me be level 10 in hockey, something you haven't written at all. I was just gonna have Ash like observation hockey and stuff to just shoot at this motherfucker with eyes without looking, which was like also the thing where
really cool.
Because you like let me when I crit, you described that, and then Ash was like, wait a minute, I could do that, and then I saw you make a face because I was like, I'll remember that, and you were just like, what the fuck are you planning?
What are you doing?
So before we move on to season 3, Bubblegum Faye said, "Do you think your crew would get on with the Straw Hats?" Who wants to start?
We should not put Esmer and Luffy in the same room together.
Ships will sink.
Yeah.
But like, say they're on land, say they're on some island that has nothing to do with paper, Dennis, and Esmer meets Luffy. Do you
What's
think
wrong
that
with
they would
Scranton
be friends?
Island?
Okay.
Yeah, Esmer and Luffy would get along
I
great.
think-
I think we'd all get along great.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think if there's any like specific pair between the crews that would not get along well.
I think maybe Nemo would eat Luffy's food, and then they would get in a fight because of that.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I suspect that Sanji would do like Sanji things, and Ash would just have to be like, "I'm gay," like, and that might be like a moment of just like, and he'll just be like, "I don't know what island that is," and it's like, okay,
Yeah, we
fair.
haven't seen him have to process that before.
No, but other than that, like, I definitely like tried to base the vibe of Ash off of Nico Robin because I love Robin very, very much, and so like I would certainly hope that they would be like the brain cell like sitting in the corner sipping tea.
The singular brain
There is
cell.
one pair that I
There's-
really do want to see if this could be a real thing, and that is Leandre meets Usopp. I feel like they would get along so well and just like find an island to do nothing together forever.
I think Leandre would give Usopp a lot of self-reflection because Usopp has had character growth and like moments of bravery,
Mhm.
and then Leandre is still hiding behind rocks, and Usopp might have to step up and be like, "Hey, come on, man, it's go time, right?"
That would
And Leandre's like, "No, you
that'd
can't
be
make me."
beautiful.
I was also thinking about the comparison from like what was second episode maybe when we like sank the other ship, and Leandre was the one who set off 8 billion cannons at once to destroy the other ship completely, and someone was watching that because they got pictures of that fight, and that means that it's like I was like, oh, we're about to have like a God Leandre like bounty kind of thing going on here. Like, they'll be like, dude, this guy is a fucking menace. We kept him at a desk and then he abandoned us and fucking destroyed like one of our strongest like allies. Holy shit. We can't fuck with the Lavender Scale Pirates because they've got Leandre's spike.
They already decided that Coralie is the one who turns people to stone. So when the amethyst thing happens, they're like, "Who the fuck could that be?" It must be Leandre Spike, and then his bounty shoots all the way up.
And start doing like a King from One Punch Man. If you've seen it is a bit of a spoiler, so cover your ears. But there's a character in One Punch Man who has no powers whatsoever, but he's celebrated as the strongest person that ever existed. And he has the King Train, which is a heartbeat, and it turns out he's just terrified of everything. And it's the main character that happens to be there at the same time, and King takes all the credit for the huge amounts of destruction that he causes. And I feel like that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah,
Very
100%.
I also think that everyone would get along really well. I think that Luffy's drive to actually be the king of the pirates is a lot more than Coralie's drive to be king of the pirates, but I think that they would both just be like, huh, that guy's weird, and then
Yeah.
just kind of go on and do their own thing.
Yeah, like, I don't know if they'd get along, but they probably wouldn't, like, bother each other too much.
Yeah.
I feel like we'd get scenes of Luffy and Kid rivalry-esque situations where they're, trying to do the same thing but do it better because I'm better situations because I have to be the king of the pirates. Do you think Coralie would engage in that sort of behavior?
I don't think so, because they're not motivated by knowing anything about pirating. Everything that they've learned from pirating is what they've really done with the Lavender Scale Pirates. Like, yeah, they got into a little bit of pirating before, but that was as a solo pirate on the land of Addendum. So they're just like, I can do this. Like, I was king of the snakes, I can be king of the pirates. Whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm gonna do. Like, sure, I guess you think you can be king of the pirates, but that's gonna be real weird when I'm king of the pirates. And I don't think that there's like a real competition bit, because to Coralie, like, they're just going to do it because they've already been a king.
I do think Coralie's definitely pretty casual about their ultimate goal, but I do also think Coralie really loves their crew and their friends, and I feel like if the Straw Hats do something cool, Coralie might be like, Esmer, do something cool, and then Esmer does a flip or something like that. Like, I feel like that would be more the competition vibe. Like, check out how cool my friends are.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't want my friends to be, like, upstaged. So definitely we'll learn to, like, poke and prod them to also compete without having to try to compete themselves. Yeah. Well, I guess it's time to talk about season 3. We have
No. There's more questions. There's more questions.
This says, what is this drive you speak of? You mean pilot? Luffy, probably. Incredible.
So true.
There have been quite a handful of pitches for season 3. And I'm going to read Angie's pitch from the Discord first, since they're not here. When responding to the list of questions that I had asked to everyone, one of them being, do you think that after season 2 ended, we went back to get the poneglyph and then found someone to read it? Ange said, this is so funny because in conjunction with 2 of the questions for tomorrow's Q&A, my thought process for season 3 involves Zelio reuniting with the crew after a solo trip to meet with Ivankov and the Revolutionary Army, because that is what Ange said that Zelio would be doing in our prologue. In tow is none other than the Straw Hat's own archaeologist and O'Hara survivor Nico Robin, who can read the poneglyph. The poneglyph is not part of the ones that lead to the One Piece, however it does hold either a secret or a puzzle to find a different ancient treasure. They were just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, but it did kind of set us off on, okay, what's my pitch for season 3? So with that being said, I will open the floor.
Oh, I mean, we talked about so much.
You did.
I do.
We talked about like 6 different things before we hit go live.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. So
They're all
some of
exciting.
this
And
is
I
going to be
think they're
rehashed
all
for us, but
worth
we're going to get
reiterating.
some more. I fully agree. Like, there's not a bad idea that's been said, but Julie, what was the one you wanted to bring up?
Well, I mean, I love Dennis's pitch of new crew, and you can expand on that more. Like new pirates, younger pirates, it allows us to explore more levels, and I'm always just a big fan of like the flexibility of TTRPGs to see who they will play this time.
Yeah.
Like, I think we'll have that anticipation for each other. I think about whenever new Critical Role season ends, they're like, oh my god, like, Travis has to play a paladin this time. We can't wait for that to happen. Like, he'd be such a great paladin, you know, something like that. But it would be with the world of One Piece, and, like, there's endless possibilities. But my pitch is, because it was brought up that we can't mess with the One Piece timeline too much, because now we are of a power level where we would be interacting with the Emperors and the Straw Hat Pirates, etc. But, you know, what if we are already in an alternate universe of One Piece? What if Season 3 kicks off with the Straw Hat Pirates have been defeated and Monkey D. Luffy is dead? And this is just the universe where the Lavender Scale Pirates happen to be the ones that step up to take their place. You know, we can have our fight against Doflamingo or one of the 4 Emperors or something like that. And we're just the main characters now. But that also leaves room for us to meet people like Robin to read the poneglyphs. Like, what about the scattered fragments of the Straw Hat Pirates? Where would they be in this world? Like this is like the dark future of the One Piece world. Could leave room for a darker season, but we are we are the light of hope this time. We're the OCs. We're the main characters now.
Oh, I love this still. Like I love it when you said it beforehand. I love it still. And now my brain is like doing that stupid thing that my brain does, where it's just like infinite things, and it's like I know that this is not science fiction. It is anime, but anime sometimes likes time travel. And now it's just like if you followed that, and it's like we're in the dark because you just said we're in the dark timeline. It is our quest to return it to the main timeline. Like that becomes like the thing. Like we find out it's like this isn't supposed to be this way. Like it's supposed to be like this, and then that's what like the poneglyph says or what have you. And that's sort of just like, oh fuck, like we're in a weird ass time loop, and that's not really like One Piece, but we're kind of breaking some of the like One Piece like feel rules just by the fact that we get to say fuck, like so you know. But I think for me, like the thing that I wanted to pitch would be like I like being in places that aren't anywhere related to the canon in things that are IP. Like we've been in the South Blue this whole time, which has not been touched basically at all in the anime, and like we can keep being in the South Blue, and we can find like shit that is horribly wrong here that isn't related to any of the warlords of the emperors. Like those guys are gods, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other gods out there. Like I mean literally Skypiea, right? Like that's like that fucking dude God Eminem. Yeah.
God
It's been so
Eminem.
long. Not it. Well, he's based off of Eminem. Like his visual is based literally off of Eminem, Marshall Mathers. But yeah, like that's a thing. Like we could find something like that, and there could be a god there. But I also was very much in favor of like de-leveling to make it happen, and whether or not that's an enemy doing that to us, or we just handshake agreement that maybe we're still level 5, you know, and get to like test the middle levels for a longer period of time. But I really have loved like the pitch that Ange made was like the one I was like, oh fuck, I didn't even think that we could do this. That sounds dope as shit.
So I wanna
Like-
rewind real quick because Dan, yesterday you had a pitch where we stress test the higher
True.
levels of Sagas. You know,
True.
Sagas will be fully out for the world to enjoy, and then we'll need a two Sagas that we can stress test with our 2-piece, right? It all works. And then another thing that we had talked about was we come back with the poneglyph and with Nico Robin, who can read the poneglyph. The poneglyph sends us to another dimension, and that's how we get transported. I love that option, and I also love the option of we get to play these characters one more time in season 3, and that is when we have found a big fucking boss that we need to go and take down. Or we've just decided, hey, do we really need to be the king of the pirates? I don't know. That goes against everything that Coralie stands for right now, but maybe they could be convinced to just name themselves king of the pirates, I don't know, on like some island, because they don't know what it truly fully means to be king of the pirates. And then we connect with this new group, this new age of pirates, and the Lavender Scale Pirates gives away their ship and says, hey, here are some things that you're going to need if you really want to succeed out here on the South Blue. And then we start over again with level 1 characters, all new characters that we've created. I know everyone is like rolling in ideas, and that's where we start then at level 1, and we take our time with it, you know? Maybe it's every 2 episodes we jump up a level. Maybe it's every 3 episodes. Maybe we just stretch this out until we're 80, and it takes us a really long time to get to
When
level
One Piece
10.
ends,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
That would be. I mean, that would be
Brilliant.
very One Piece of us. And keep that show going for 30 fucking years. Like, why can't we? I see you,
So
Jake. I see you, Jake.
Jake, I want to see in the chat what your pitch for season 3 is.
Yes, please. I'm taking all of these ideas and I'm trying to take my favorite bits from all of them and smash them together. If, for example, if we do a different universe where Straw Hat Pirates don't exist, we established in our time skip that the Paramount War happened. And the One Piece, or the Straw Hat Pirates are now known to the world. So that begs the question, if this is an alternate timeline, what is the branching point and what happened to the Straw Hat Pirates? That has the potential to be the mystery of the whole campaign, of like figuring out what happened, or it could be something like a huge change right off the bat. Like there's a lot of potential with a question that big. So that's certainly one direction. There is the Angie's poneglyph suggestion, where the poneglyph turns into its own quest. This is an unknown poneglyph. We don't know what it says. We don't know where it leads. Most of the poneglyphs are going to lead to some sort of ancient treasure, like they said. But what if that's not the case? Like there's another, like I want to take that question and push its boundaries at the same time. And I feel like with another season, we could do both of those things. What Straw Hat mystery and poneglyph mystery. Like there's that's just how I tend to think. Because I want to subvert as many expectations as possible, because everyone's already going to know whatever question it is going into it. I want the answer to also be unexpected by pushing it outside of the expected realm.
Remember when I said season 4 earlier? Because it sounds like we have a really great gateway to just go from 3 to 4. All I'm saying.
Yeah, there's so much potential, but I think my biggest question is, will Dennis create a villain that Coralie can't kill in one round?
I'm gonna have to.
True.
I mean, eventually this is gonna get old.
Eventually it's gonna happen, and we're not gonna know what to do. It's gonna be a moment like, oh, shit.
Okay,
I
no.
didn't realize that was possible.
Inkray can cut ships in half. I think we're going to know what to do. And Inkray can fucking swim. Was everyone as surprised as I was to find out that we only had 2 devil fruit power users on episode 8
blown
of
away.
the series? Like,
We're also both Zoans, which is like the rarest type. We're both animal. Well, I guess I'm an animal people and you're a person animal.
hell yeah.
I think the funniest thing about that was all of us literally thought that his power was deal related. Every single one of us was certain that he had taken some like law fruit, and the second he's just like, no, I'm just a really good lawyer. I was like, oh fuck, like what are we even doing?
And then Dennis asking Angie, didn't you take a devil fruit? And them saying, no baby, I'm just hot.
That was
Killed
so
me.
iconic.
So good. Oh, but now like what? Now we've figured out Ash would do bubble bombs, but I wonder like we have not seen a crew member eat a devil fruit in real time during a campaign. Like what would Zelio's be? What would Leandra's be? What would Inkray's be? And Nemo's be, etc. So Nemo and Inkray would be rough because they're both fishmen, and then they would sink.
Well, there is. I didn't explore this, but I wanted to break the One Piece lore a little bit somehow, and the way I did that was saying Captain Hornigold is a devil fruit user that can swim. And I continued trying to figure out how to work that in. It didn't really come to light in any big and meaningful way, but the brain process that I went through was mechanically in Sagas. There is a talent called Remove Struggle, and Animosity of the Sea is the name of the struggle that you have to have if you are a devil fruit user. So why don't you just take Remove Struggle and learn how to swim?
Love it. That is kind of interesting, though. I've never thought about it. There's no there's no devil fruit users who can swim in the world of One Piece, but there's also no fish person devil fruit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He stays away from fish, stays away from bugs for the most part. Oda's like, let's just not complicate it too much.
I just realized that I asked Dan their question, and we kind of chatted already about Dennis's question, but I haven't asked Julie the question that we had for them. So, my question to you is that we saw in the epilogue that Esmer and her brother had like such a sweet moment on Addendum Island, giving out toys to all of the children that lived there. And so I want to know if that means that Esmer left the Lavender Scale crew after they had the epilogue, or did they go collect their brother and then convince him to join the crew as well?
I think it was probably... My initial thought is that it was a detour. Like, we're just doing this little stopover, but Esmer's brother Kimba is an inventor before he is a pirate. So, you know, this would just be, hey, let's get some time at home. Let's, like, do some good now that this current pirate adventure is over. That said, I mean, listen, we need a shipwright, and Esmer's brother is canonically an inventor. And I did consider going into this season kind of modding Esmer's abilities to incorporate some, like, high-tech whatever from their brother, but I just didn't think it fit the character. When the opportunity was there, I decided it would be, like, gadgets like the little snake lights and like the little like training mechanisms. I don't know if this came up in an episode, but I think like Esmer's brother would have designed like a ball on a chain type of training device where Esmer would just kind of kick the ball and it would go back to them and they'd practice kicking at different angles. I feel like that's the relationship with their brother. It's like, let me give you like, you know, new gadgets to play with and kind of like mirroring the older sibling relationship from when they were kids and when he was giving them toys.
I love that so much, and I also love that he is helping her not kick the hull of the ship and destroy it more.
Sometimes you gotta pick the high chaos option.
Little Miss I Am the Sea King.
That's right. Scrawled in absolute nonsense. Listen, I think the biggest plot hole in Esmer's backstory is why did they do nothing about King Dial for like 15 years? But that's okay. They're just kind of weird. I liked it. I'm thinking maybe they might have spent like 5 years as a literal grasshopper because then they could have lived outside and not aroused any suspicion, and maybe that's why they came out so weird.
If the shoe fits.
It's a good plot point.
Yeah, you know, maybe that's it. Maybe Esmer has been in grasshopper mode until the right people came to take on King Dial and finally transformed back into a human with a big poof of hair when Coralie and Zelio and Nemo and Ingray like rolled up to the island.
Well, with us, you know, being the right people to take on some of the big bads, and with our bounties getting pretty high, I think the highest was like 100 million. Am I right?
100 million for both Ash and Leandre.
I mean, those are pretty high. Do y'all think that we have our own fanboy a la Bartolomeo and the Straw Hats?
We gotta.
Surely.
We gotta. They're definitely dressing as
be?
a snake in some way.
Ooh, well, okay. Or they dress up as a knight to be part of the Snake Knights. Like Cabbage. Incredible. All right, Dennis, just put that in the back
Cabbage
of your...
has gone around spreading
Filing
the
that
word.
one away.
Oh, God.
I am really hopeful that if we really do a season 3, that Adam will be able to join us, because Cabbage was such a light in the first season. And I mean, I know that Adam was a guest role, and we only got to see our guests 1-2 times max. Actually, Dan, you might have been on 3 times. You were an interesting
Twice.
one. Okay.
I remember this because I was only supposed to be on the 3rd episode. And then what happened was Julie had a scheduling conflict and so had to leave for episode 4. and that's what created the situation where Esmer and Kimba end up like off the ship before the final confrontation, and Ash stayed on. So that was very interesting. But I was really like, I was not ready. But then I was like, oh shit, well, okay, let's do it.
It worked out well. It was an epic fight. Like, I am a little bit sad that Esmer didn't get to help take down King Dial, but also, like, it was cool seeing Jake, like, reference Esmer's techniques as well.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing
That's so
everybody
fucking
step
That
up.
was amazing.
It was
I
fun
loved
being an
that.
audience member. Yeah, good stuff. Watch the first
And
season.
it's not
if
a
you haven't.
question.
Yeah.
Yes, please do. It's so much fun. Not a question, but I think Julie, you influenced me a lot during the course of our 2 seasons of like framing my descriptions to look the way One Piece does. So all of the bits where like you're describing an actual like cell in a comic book, or a small scene that absolutely could have appeared in the actual show, I started emulating that, and that felt amazing. Like, just dive further into theming like that. I think that's something I'm going to bring to other games where they're set, because like obviously Sagas has multiple one pagers to play in different universes. I am absolutely going to start doing the same thing with those.
I'm glad it was helpful. I just feel like, as a longtime manga reader for One Piece too, it is so much part of the manga reading experience to like see a little speech bubble teasing a new character, and then you turn the page and then it's a big splash page of like a crazy character design. I just feel like that is just already in my head when I am picturing the world of One Piece. That like it just felt pretty natural to weave in. But I'm glad it was helpful in that way.
It was really cool. I remember one specific scene was actually episode 1, season 1, where you're escaping the dock and trying to get through Marines, get to your new ship, and get it out of here. Where like I really wanted to bring the size comparison into play, and so Ink Ray was going up against this 8-foot tall Marine, and they just lock hands like this and press against each other, and it's absolutely something that I've seen in manga before.
Oh yeah.
Like 100%. And then Nemo going down beneath them and doing a fight there, playing with the height difference in descriptions, was a ton of fun.
So good. Season 1 and season 2, both so good.
Mm-hmm.
Both are on YouTube right now for your viewing pleasure.
Pew,
And I think it was really fun, and honestly, hats off to you, Dennis, for being able to manage 8 different people's schedules.
Yeah.
On like
No, you're the one that managed the schedule.
managed the
Let's be clear.
schedules, okay.
I had no part in that. That's all you. Congratulations. That's amazing. I couldn't.
okay. Well, okay, so I did the schedules, but you managed 8 different character arcs, knowing that you had 4 folks to work with that were going to be constant, and that there was going to be 1 new person that had to be introduced and kicked out every single episode of that first season, and then being able to be fluid with Julie needing to leave on the 4th episode and Dan staying in as Ash. I mean, that was incredibly impressive. And then saying, what if we did all of you for the 2nd season, and managing 7 other people talking at all times in the entirety of season 2. I mean, that's incredibly impressive. So I'd love to hear how you managed it for season 1 and how that differed for managing it in season 2.
This is an amazing question. Like, I put a lot of thought into this. For season 1, it was, I think for both of them, it was a question of how to manage time inside the episode. Like, how much time can we spend on each piece of the story? How long can this character introduction take? How long is it going to take to make sure that they have a a cool exit of some sort, like that feels good, and how to sandwich between those actual plot for the main storyline. And so I like went through different situations in my head of like how we're going to introduce this character, how we're going to tease them, like for because Cabbage in 4, that was not his first appearance technically. We saw Cabbage in like the beginning of episode 2, I think. You read a letter from him because he had been following Coralie around. And so I wanted to do something different with that one because it was the finale. I wanted to tease something moving up to it. But it was a very, very interesting and fun challenge to get these people, these characters in and out. But fortunately, the cast that we've had for both seasons has been so good at role playing and doing what they do. In most situations, I was comfortable just sitting back and like, I'll get them on the ship. All right, that's my job. Once they're there, I can just let them go, and they're gonna like the Zelio Leandre beef. I had no part in that. That was all them, and it was brilliant. I loved it. Really, the only thing I had to worry about was villains and making sure that they were also characters because we had so many others coming in, going out, or season 2 sticking around the whole time. And I think for season 2 specifically, it was actually really, really easy because I'd already played with everyone on the cast. I know that they're good at, playing off of each other in the middle of the stream. And so I knew that I was just going to have to like plant a couple seeds and then take a seed. And that's what I did for the whole season. And it was so much fun. I was like I get the GM credit, but really I felt like an audience member for most of it. It was great.
Follow-up question then. You said that all you had to do was plant a few seeds and then sit back and watch. Did the seeds grow into the trees that you thought were going to sprout, or did we just do like a total 180?
The only one that grew in the direction I thought it would was the first episode where Leandre was introduced. I knew what was going to happen there, and it happened in such a way that it was just amazing. Like, we knew that beef was pre-existing, and I never played with Briar before, but I was amazed at how far they leaned into this character that's sort of, I don't really want to be here, but I'm here now, and I'm going to try to leave as soon as I can. But a lot of, in every other situation, you took it full 180. And I didn't know what was going to happen. And this is why we call it improvising.
Is that the same then for season 2?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Incredible.
like you saw it. We together invented Scranton Island, right? Like, sometimes I didn't even plant the seeds. You guys did that.
We just said we needed paper. That's it.
Yep. I wasn't the one that said Scranton first. I don't know who did.
Don't check the tape. Don't check the tape. I don't know who it is.
Our bit for the episode.
Incredible. Okay. I have another question for y'all. Unless other people have questions that they want answered. Because I feel like I've been a little bit of a question hog.
We're still taking questions from chat too.
Yes.
I just want to say, Dennis, like, is king of flattery and king of being humble, but I do want to shout out this GMing moment that I clocked because I feel like it was so helpful and so specific. Like, yes, you knew Leandre would get up to semantics, but the way you set that up was, as we were looking around the ship, you were like, I want you all to tell me what Leandre and Zelio are fighting about. And, from there, that was such a clear kick-off point for Angie and Briar to just go. Like, yes, you sat back and watched, but that was such a helpful push. Like, it could only have led to great things. So it is a team effort, even when you are stepping back.
And I also want to shout out, it's like the way that you like pick up on a moment and take complete advantage of it. It's like it's a very GM thing to wait to pounce on a thing, all like I remember like thinking from last week, all I said was, yeah, Ash doesn't have sure-footed. She's gonna like she's not gonna stay on her feet, and you're just like, Ash is gonna fall out a fucking window into the sea and get hit by the boat. And we were just like, oh, stakes went up instantly.
Mhm.
We're like, oh yeah, you guys murked my baddie in one turn. That's fine. I'll still get my blood.
I'm still the GM. Let's be
Yeah.
clear.
Oh my god.
Okay, all right, okay. Favorite moment of the series? If you would like, you can do one for season 1 and one for season 2.
Oh man, this is tough.
Splitting it expands. Season 1, I know what mine is very easily. It's absolutely the Esmer flashback. It's absolutely just that moment where Esmer like speaks for the first time. Like I will remember that forever. Because that is like it is the quintessential One Piece moment. Like it is the most One Piece thing of all fucking time. And I just remember because that was my first episode on, and I just remember sitting there going like, "Holy shit, this is." I was like locked in from that moment onward because then that was also like the explanation of Esmer's choice in her callouts, the explanation of why Esmer is who she is. Like it was like
Mhm.
the most on brand thing, and I think it set the tone for the rest of that episode, which also led into that was like right after you had just that was we came back from break into this, and this was right after before break you did that fucking thing where you knew you were not on the next episode and you were just like, I could die happy. It's like, you motherfucker, like how dare you go from
I
that
still remember that
directly into the
line.
flashbacks emotional flashback scene. Like that 15 minutes of gameplay is just like burned in my brain from season 1.
It's a great episode. I was happy to be there, happy to be supported by Dennis for all the shenanigans. I think I will say one of my favorite moments was one I had as a viewer. And it was a Nemo moment where I feel like something I love so much about TTRPGs with combat is when the narrative and the combat grow together, when there is that like meta narrative resonance. And we see with Nemo from the start that he is using like Sharkman wrestling. And then I remember us after an episode, like just kind of like throwing Fishman karate into the mix. And Jake was like, yeah, I could probably do that. And then we see him do some Fishman karate. And then we see him adopt Moppy as a secondary character. And I feel like that
Fucking
ties,
Moppy.
it tied so well into a moment in the final fight in season 1 where Jake uses hockey on the mop and starts using it as like a martial arts staff. And then me as an audience member, I watch him say Fishman karate bug yo-yo or some like equivalent of it where it's like, yes, I couldn't be there, Esmer couldn't be there, but then he shouts out Esmer with a technique. It is like like I feel like Nemo is so much like the sleeper of season 1 because you're seeing him as like a chill casual guy, but mechanically you kind of like see him find his rhythm with fighting, find his rhythm with the mop, find his friendship with Esmer, and they all come together where a moment where he is using hockey on the mop, using Fishman karate with it, shouting out Esmer's martial arts with his move. It was mind blowing to see that journey happen and culminate in such a quick moment. I want to shout out our boy Jake because he's also being humble in the chat.
It's not just season 1. So in season 2, Final Fight, Jake uses control water to literally freeze the Captain Hornigold in place. And I haven't mentioned this before, but the plan I had in that moment was to exercise Hornigold's like super world breaking ability of being able to swim despite being a devil fruit user. He couldn't do that because he couldn't move. He was frozen in place. And I think that was the most like kind of a sleeper moment of like, this truly is the reason that combat was only 1 round.
We trapped him.
I think personally for me, one of my, and it's not necessarily a single scene or a single moment. But when we did a crew party in season 1, and I think Nemo helped make some like decorations and somebody made food.
Yeah.
And then we see that again in season 2. And Esmer is like tinkering around and made the snake lights, and there's some limbo and we see this big, grand, dramatic entrance by Leandre, and it was just so fun to see how much the Lavender Scale pirates value like taking it easy and like having fun together as a crew, because that's what both seasons felt like. Going back and watching all of the different episodes, you see us laughing so much and having so much fun together. And I'm glad that we could see that not only in our characters, but as us, as like the humans playing the characters. And that was really, really special and fun.
The real One Piece really is the friends we made along the way.
It truly is. Ugh.
Yeah, God, I like that was so nice. I was just thinking about that. It's like we got to spend time with them in a way that was very casual, and especially with as many of us as there were, like getting to know characters in those moments was so huge, and everyone got like this moment to really sit with, I think, in each of those scenes, and you got to learn about them in that, which otherwise, doesn't happen. The beach episodes are important. They exist for a reason.
They are.
Absolutely. And I think something else that was really fun was how we were able to explore the like role on the ship of all of our different characters. And even if a person didn't have like a set thing that you would see on most pirate ships, like fucking Inkray when we are out on Scranton Island, just like whipping up all of those contracts. That was quite literally amazing because Dennis made it a point to say, you do not have any money. You cannot pay for any of this. And seeing Ange and Zelio just like calling out all of the orders. And it was just, I don't know, it was just really, really special getting to see everyone owning their thing throughout this second season.
It feels so indicative of how One Piece pirate crews work. Like, we did not plan our character synergies beforehand,
No.
but when you have 8 people just like following their joy, you end up seeing, or 7, yeah, 8 people, 7 people. Oh my god, sorry, I lose track
Crew
of how
of
many of
7.
us there are.
Also
Crew of
following
7.
my joy. It's okay.
Yes. Crew,
Well, I
crew of
mean,
7.
8 when
And
you
Cabbage Mix
pull in
8.
Adam, because like
Yes.
he was
True.
still a part of this season.
Yeah.
And every character was so different and did such different things, and all kind of naturally were like, oh, I'm good at this, I'll lean into this. It was just so wonderful.
I feel like the tone was really set for this scene in that way, when it's like literally in the opening scene of season 2 was the first time that Lou like had control of the narrative. They just went like, they like called up the fucking other ship. It's like, hi, this is the Lavender Scale Pirates, and I'm calling to negotiate the terms of your surrender. Because Inkray is a fucking lawyer, and that is exactly how we would handle it. Like, that just defined it for all the
Loved
rest
it.
of us. It's just like, oh fuck. Like, not only do we like have the swag now, but we have like the ways in which we pursue these things. And I was just like, oh fuck, okay, this is dope as hell.
Because like Jake shouted out in chat, the legalese of reading of the contracts in the season 2 episode 1 was amazing. And legalese, that talent, when we were designing sagas, was kind of like a, hey, this is an actual talent that people, you could learn this, right? Let's just throw it in here. This is the kind of fun throwaway little thing. And he made it his entire character to be good at that. And it was the most broken shit that I've ever because like
Lou did an amazing job. There was no broken shit. They were fantastic.
you followed the rules to a T, and it was brilliant.
They knew what they were doing when they made Inkray. Oh my god.
This is why I love TTRPG systems with customizable builds. As much as I love a rules light, just come up with a character and go system, sometimes when you start like from the mechanics, you can end up surprising yourself with what you come up with. Lawyer pirate, why not?
Lawyer
If the skill
pirate.
is there, take it.
Exactly.
You let me build out an
Um,
ability to shoot across fucking football fields, and then it's like, oh, okay, fine. Here's a villain that you can't look at, and you like just built. It's like, I will look people in the eyes and they will turn to stone. Great. Here's a villain you can't look at.
Yeah.
I
Unless
very-
Lou hits him in the head.
Let's look at some of that.
Yeah, you know, and Dan, I'd like to hear from you as like the two people that need to look at someone to be able to attack them. I felt a little like, what the fuck are you doing, Dennis? Do you hate me? Did you also feel
So
that
I
way?
looked at
Not as much,
I
because
looked
like
at the previous. Go ahead.
I was gonna say not as much because I could definitely tell it was targeted at you, and I think I was just like, I think I just caught the stray there. Because I like went back and like rewatched the Reed fight, and I was like, you know, Ash did hit several consecutive shots and was a pain in the ass, but also almost died. Like Ash got to 1 HP from Pine Forest. Like that was bad, or not Pine Forest, because Ash dodged that. It was like the spike that he did out of spite before that.
Yep.
But it was like, I was just like, oh, neat, because I built the ranged character. Everyone, like, I love ranged characters. Everyone else built melee characters, and I'm like, I'm gonna stand in the back and not do shit. And so like, I just caught the stray there, and decided I was like, fuck it, I'll steer into it. Let's go.
I mean, Corley's got range too. I was just imagining us as a JRPG party comp and like who you would switch in. You'd need a frontliner, Corley for the debuffs, and
We're backliners.
I think in JRPGs so often, but our crew fits really nicely into that.
Yeah. You've got your two backliners. You've got your tanks in Nemo and Inkray.
Yep, gotta have your flexible characters too, just in case.
Yeah, and then like mid-range battle is like you, Leandre, and Zelio, and you like Esmer shifts frontline midline as needed.
That's probably be what I'll be thinking about as I go to sleep tonight. That's usually I like give my brain like a little task, like envision this campaign as a JRPG party.
Yeah.
Did y'all struggle on picking health versus effort to buff each time we leveled up? Because I did. Because I remember how we all got pretty low on health at that episode 4, season 1, and I was like, don't want that to happen again. But then I also remember constantly running out of effort and not being able to do cool shit.
Effort is so broken. I feel like it's good to lean into. Like, yes, health is rough. I do again have to point out the hack to anime sagas with stab, in that stab restores all effort and power deflection only costs 2 effort to completely negate all damage. Esmer did not take any damage this season because I deflected it when it happened.
In the first season when I first built Ash, I misunderstood when I read the rules. I thought it was add to like 1 to each, like when you leveled up, and I misunderstood that until the fight, and then I realized and I was like, oh, well, I built a squishy. I built a backliner squishy, so I took 2 in health and all the rest is effort. So at level 10, Ash is 4 HP and 10 effort.
Oh my god, that fits though.
I love glass
They're
cannon.
they're observation hockey focused.
Yeah.
And now
Nemo with 8. Holy shit! No wonder Nemo could like tank all that. Holy fuck.
Yup.
Well, Nemo had to. Oh, I guess that would be at the end. Nemo had to take a health potion in the first season, and we didn't even have to use health potions in the second. But I'd really love to know how much health versus how much effort Hornigold had.
Oh, I have a Hornigold question too that I'd like to tack onto that.
So, how health and effort work from the GM's perspective is monsters don't roll dice, and they don't have effort. We designed it that way so that it's like it's very easy to run. You have enough to keep track of. And so he just had abilities that he could just do. Like it didn't cost effort to do these things. He wasn't going to help his minions. His minions were worried about not dying, not helping him. And so like there was no opportunity to use effort. Have. But as far as health goes, he started out with 15.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, like he was a big boy, and you guys, I fully expected like all the stabs to be used to crit against him on attack rolls, and like all the combos to start being used to do that again and again and again and again, he needed to be able to tank several of those.
I have a follow-up question about Hornigold because I remembered something about Captain Reed that you said, which is bosses in SAGAS have 2 phases, and in their second phase they gain an extra action. What was second phase Hornigold going to look like? Because that's why I held on to my stab at the beginning. I was like, I don't want to burn this before he hits phase 2, because that's when I think it's going to be a problem.
Exactly. So the way we have it is just like a tiny little box on the page that says when a boss's minions all die, they get superpowers essentially, and they get to attack multiple times. That's the mechanic of it. And so there would be no like visible change, except he would start to get frustrated and angry and start attacking with multiple tentacles in multiple directions.
That happened in
and
the
just
first
hitting
season,
people with
right?
those 3
Reed.
damage attacks. Yeah,
Reed did that shit to
Reed
us.
got there.
Boo. Boo. And so
I don't think I answered the last question you asked, Jess, of my favorite moment in all of season 1 and 2. And for season 1, for both of them, obviously there's so many, but I think I've narrowed it down to it depends on where I put the most effort in outside of the games, and that was by far building Hornigold. And making sure that he was a villain that felt scary enough to be a threat to a team of level 10s. I really enjoy cosmic horror in TTRPGs, if you couldn't tell. And so seeing Dan's things in chat when we had teased the Hornigold talking to Cabbage, and just I wasn't watching at the time, I was going to bed, and I just get a ping that's like, we're hosed, the bad guy's Slender Man. That was so much fun. But like I think my favorite moment had to be like, just from a GM's perspective, the biggest oh shit moment for the Lavender Scale Pirates. And I think it was the second time he used his eye contact ability and forced Zelio to walk into the ocean. And everyone was just like, we have to deal with this? How are we going to deal? And obviously you defeated him in 1 round, but that moment still happened. And that's like, that I spent a lot of effort building up to that. And I think the payoff was more than I could have asked for.
Oh god, as soon as you suggested that like he could swim, and we were in the water, all 7 of us had the exact same moment. It just got quiet, and Lou goes, "We should get back to the boat." Because I was like, I was so fucking scared we were gonna get snapped up in that canoe. I was like, oh, we're fucked. We are beyond fucked. Because
There's another reason I took the abilities I did for the final level up. I was like, how can I get Esmer out of the water if necessary?
smart. Can we rewind a little bit to Cabbage meeting Hornigold? Did you have Hornigold completely figured out when Adam said, hey y'all, can't join you unfortunately, have a good season 2, and then you and I concocted, well, Adam can still be a part of season 2, we just need to pre-record. And so folks that haven't watched all of the second season, There was a send-off where Coralie sent Cabbage off to become King of the Snakes. There was a 20-minute meeting of the BBEG, Hornigold, coming to Slither Island and meeting Cabbage. Cabbage giving away a few too many secrets. And then Hornigold leaving, and then a letter from Cabbage to Coralie saying, "Oh, and I met this man. He came to the island, rada rada rada." So I'd love to know, Dennis, if you knew going into those recordings exactly what Hornigold was like, or if you continued concocting him. Because we recorded those like a good month before season 2 started airing.
I did. I had the character concept fully fleshed out. I didn't have like the big bad stat block because I knew I wouldn't need it for a month. But the full character of like a very tall, thin old man in a hat, and the hat was eventually going to transform into the big fin on the top of the squid. And the arms and legs would transform into the tentacles. But this very like, and because of like everything that's happening in the world right now and at that time is like old white man in a suit, fucking terrifying. So I wanted to like dip just the barest bit of my toe into that pool as well. And so I had him like seem very reasonable but gloom the entire time.
Was Cabbage in like a ton of danger? Like, was that something that, like, obviously, like, none of us knew where that was going, except like maybe just to an extent because of the editing that they did. But like, was there a world in which, like, in those recordings, Hornigold was going to make a move on Snake Island?
No. I thought a lot about what an 8th Warlord of the Sea would have, like, how he would have to fit into the world. And he did hold a strange seat where, like, he's not allowed to be known, and he doesn't want to be people on the surface to like know about him. But he does. The Marines found out, and so he made a contract with them, and he just kind of like hangs out, does some odd jobs for them time to time. And in this case, they had to call him in because all the other 7 warlords were busy after the Paramount War. And so he never was going to make a move on that island. He knew he was powerful enough to get away. Like, Cabbage did a great job of making sure one person maybe can come over. Like, don't let the whole ship dock. That's not something we're cool with. And so Hornigold was confident that he alone could escape from that island unscathed. He maybe could have fought everyone there, but he didn't need to. He was there to gather information about his next target, which was you guys. And that was the best way to do it.
We have another question from a chat. This one comes from Jake in the Discord. This question is for Dennis. Was Kevin evil at any point? I feel like the voice and cadence Dennis used made him and the chili feel super sus.
So he was never evil. I just really enjoy ratcheting up tension, whether there's a reason to do so or not. And so I really wanted to play around with everyone knows the bit from The Office. Kevin brings in chili, and the chili spills immediately. And I thought the longer this chili can not spill specifically, the better. And as far as the voice, I was really just trying to imitate Kevin best I could. I didn't do a great job, but that's where I was trying to go with it.
Incredible. Thank you for the question. If anyone else has any questions in the chat, please feel free to type them away. Y'all, I think my questions are coming to a close, so I'm gonna pull some Uno reverses on you to see if you three have any additional questions.
I have Dan go first. Dan.
Oh God. Okay.
Dan.
If you I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it. I'm so behind the times.
It's the next one-pager that Dennis is going to be coming out with. It's got to be, right?
I haven't. I have to. I guess I have to see it now. Oh well.
Please and thank you.
If you have what is the next question you have to answer about your character? Like, going into another season, what would you want to explore with your character, and what is the question that you want to see them confront?
I think it is always fun, especially for strong characters, to hit them with something they cannot overcome, because I feel like that pressure mines something new. Like, what happens when Coralie cannot turn someone to stone? What happens when Esmer's strength or speed... What happens when Esmer's speed is not enough to outrun something? I think for a third season, that level of pressure could mine new development and reactions out of our incredibly powerful characters.
I like that a lot. I don't love the idea of not being able to turn someone to stone. In fact, I hate that, but I also love it at the same time. And we have come across people where we've had to turn tail and run. And honestly, I really did think that we were going to have to run from Hornigold. And that was the little pep talk that we had. Hey, it's okay to slither away, guys. It's fine. Would rather slither away another day than slither into the sea. And so I think for Coralie, the question that I would want to answer with them is, am I more than just my Gorgon's gaze? Because that's been the thing that I always do. Like, can I defeat people in other ways? And maybe that answer is no. But it's theirs to find.
Hell yeah.
I don't have
Hell
a
yeah.
character.
So what's your
I don't
answer,
have to
Dan?
this.
I think the question that came up in the third episode this season is Ash left the Navy because the Navy wasn't pursuing justice honestly, right? Reed was going after selfish interests in the vein of domination, and that was an anathema to her. So she's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And she joined with this crew because pirates can choose to be good, right? Pirates can choose to do the right thing. And for the most part, we were helping the people of Snake Island. Esmer and Kimba are good people, obviously. On Pont, Ash was willing to drop a fucking bridge for her crew. I think there are questions involved in that in the aftermath where she's like, oh, wait a minute. Am I doing the right thing right now? And am I losing myself and what I stand for? Because it's not an answer. The answer to that isn't go back to the Navy, because they don't stand for that. And it's not that these people don't stand for that, but now what does Ash stand for? And how does that shape her connection to the crew around her?
Hell yeah.
And then a question from chat for our wonderful GM. Dennis, do you have a favorite NPC you came up with in the spur of the moment, if any?
I didn't, because we had so many players, and I wanted them to have time to shine. I purposefully didn't have a whole lot of NPCs throughout either campaign. So there are very few situations in which I was able to come up with one spur of the moment. Obviously, there's Kevin, who I can't really credit for. I don't count that as coming up with him. I just copied Kevin. As I took Kevin from The Office and put him in One Piece. That's it. So the only other option really would be Spliff, who I did come up with.
Did you just say the incorrect name again?
No, changed it. We canonically changed it.
I was so ready to hear you say Spreff, his actual name.
His actual name. before
I guess when
Julie.
I came up with him, his name was Spriff.
It was Spreff with an E! You're still not getting it right!
then Julie fucking just shit-eating grin, gaslit all of us, and just confidently came out. It's like, oh, what's Spliff doing? And just waited for us to say anything, and no one said anything.
I
one
didn't
did.
even notice.
That's crazy.
All right, but like, so the situation in which I came up with, fuck, where is his name? It's in this set of notes.
Spreff Gibblethorpe.
Spreffen Gibblethorpe.
Spriffin. It's I.
Oh, it is I.
Spriffin. Spriffin. Spriffin Gibblethorpe. So the crew obviously needed a shipwright. Okay, they were going to Pont to find a shipwright, and I was like, okay, let's come up with an NPC. Let's do white girl that hates her job in the checkout line. And I was like, I started playing her a little bit, and I'm like, no, she's not an interesting character. In the moment, I couldn't find a twist to make her interesting enough to come, like, be a part of the story. So I had to start from zero. And it's like, okay, all right. One Piece characters are all wild shapes. What if we just made a guy a sphere? And I went from there.
What I love so much about that is One Piece names do technically follow Japanese naming themes, where like Monkey D. Luffy, Monkey is his last name, hence like Monkey D. Ace, etc. So the parents named this kid Gibblethorpe.
Checks out to me.
Yep.
It's fine a name as any other name.
Destined to be a sphere from birth.
Truly.
I have a question that might zoom out to us as people a little bit, which I think might be fun as we're towards the tail end. This kind of question was inspired in college many years back, where my roommate said, and he might have stolen this from the internet, that everybody is a combination of two characters from The Good Place. And I kind of thought on it, and I'm like, oh, interesting. But I have kind of started to use that as a fun little like character quiz metric among my friends. Not like what character do you relate to, but what two characters are you a combination of? So if we are to look at us as people, what two Straw Hat Pirates or even wider One Piece world characters do we relate to the most? Like, I think I am a Luffy Robin cusp, which feels like a little bit of an antithetical combination. But I think both elements of the try hard and the bookworm are both in there for me, Julie, personally. So I'll open the floor because I think this is a fun one. I want to see what y'all say.
You asked this question to me and Brandon at PAX U in December.
I was so many drinks in.
This was before the drinks were flowing, actually. But Brandon fought me a little bit on my answer, and then I was like, okay, well, if you don't like my answer, what do you think of me? And he was like, I don't know, and he never got back to me, so I'm going to make him get back to me tonight, and then I will post it in the Discord.
Let's go.
But with that being said, I think that I am a mixture of Chopper and Zoro. I think that I am really dedicated to some of my crafts that I have just like really put my mind to and like zeroed in on. And I'm also terrible with directions. That is my Zoro. And then for my Chopper, I'm just a cute little guy. And that is Chopper. He's just a cute little guy. He knows his shit. If you look at him and like just see him by himself, you don't see him as a threat. Until you get to know him a little bit. But then, even then, he's just a little cotton candy lover. Not a big fan of cotton candy. It's just sugar on a stick. But that's neither here nor there. I think that I would be those two.
We did talk about this, I remember now.
I think the two Straw Hat Pirates that I am a combination of are Usopp because I'm actually like terrified to do most things. Like I feel like it's different with TTRPGs because it's an area in which I'm comfortable now. Like I've been playing around in actual plays for like a couple years at this point, and you know I like everyone on screen right now, especially like you guys are great. I'll tell any story with you. But it didn't start out that way. I was super, super hesitant and terrified to message anybody that I like maybe be on screen with. So I do hesitate a lot when I tend to try new things. But at the same time, I am Usopp and also Jinbei because I'm extremely like level-headed and logical and about most situations and will step into the leadership role and like make decisions if no one else is.
And you have big hug energy too, which feels very Jinbei.
I try.
I think it should come to no one's surprise that at least one of mine is Robin. Like that is just like on the fucking tin of me, right? Just like very, very like obsessive autistic with weird things to say, guilt of living, like all of that, and then like living for friends. Like that's very much one part of me. From the rest of the crew, I struggle a little bit to try and figure out who it would be. I think of the crew, it's probably like Zoro. I think it's probably Zoro because it's just like I am very quietly like ride or die for people, but I am such a fucking curmudgeon about it. Like it's like very much like it's very much the case that it's like if I fuck with you, then you're gonna be like I will go to war for you. And I'm just like I don't need to say it. I just like, oh, somebody fucked with you, let's go. We're getting the cannons out. Like we're going after them.
Getting the big gun.
Hell yeah.
And like I serve like I say this all the time. It's like I'm not like the best leader, but I am a very good like right hand of the leader. And if the boss says let's go, I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do it. I will come up with 8 different ways to make sure this happens. And it's not because I need you to like validate me. It's just because I think you're right. And we're gonna go fucking do it. And there's never like a question of loyalty for me. Which outside of the crew kind of also unironically would make my second pairing to Shigi, which is like also
I can see that.
Which is also like my in-universe inspiration for Ash. Like I wanted a Tashigi with like a little more self-confidence.
I was kind of wondering if you would say Nami because she's the only Straw Hat I can imagine making reels.
Valid. Very and you know the strong lesbian energy
For sure.
but I don't have the thief in me. I don't have like the I don't have the greed.
I don't know, stealing hearts out there.
Ooh.
So I have 2 offshoots. One is based on something that Dan just said, and it made me feel some type of way that Coralie would say some stupid shit like, let's steal a poneglyph, and you all were just like, yeah, let's do it. Or Coralie would be like, let's go and fight them, and everyone would be like, yeah, let's go and do it. I thought that was just so silly and so fun, because Coralie had some really bad ideas. And you were all like, yep, that's our captain, that's our guy.
Ride or die.
I like to think that like because Zelio and Ash were like the most like brain cell characters who like would think about things, it might have been like just a minute where they're just like, no, yeah, we're gonna do this now, but we're gonna make sure we do it the right way, and we're not gonna all die doing it. The question is not, are we gonna do it? It's like, nope, Captain wants it. We're fucking going.
I can definitely see you guys sharing the brain cell and saying, okay, now this is a stupid idea, but we're going to do it smartly. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And to rewind just a little bit more, back when we started Thriller Bark, and I remember like the exact day, I remember exactly what we were doing. We had pulled the couch cushions off of the couch and we were watching One Piece on the floor. I was like snuggling with a Chopper plush at this point. We start watching Thriller Bark and we get introduced to Brooke. And Brandon's like, that's you. And then I say, excuse me? And then Brooke says, can I see your panties? And I say, you think that's me? So I'm going to have that framed when I ask Brandon who I am tonight as the two Straw Hats. And I swear to God, if he says Brooke, I'm going to be so mad. He can hear me right now. He's just in the other room. I talk loudly.
I mean, that bit aside, the silly fucking dude who is just like, yeah, I'll go walk through hell. Let's do it. But just like otherwise a silly little guy. Like, I know Chopper has like the silly little guy energy, but Brooke is a silly little guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just like, yes, I'm going to continue to make jokes about my own state of death. I hope you all are comfortable with that. It's another pun. Get used to it.
And
I'm
I
just
do
like
have
never even
some pretty
acknowledging
silly
it.
laughs. Oh, man.
Jess, you are rapidly approaching Brooke's best moment in the series too, which I'm very excited.
Oh,
Oh,
yay.
yeah.
Okay. Like what? How far do I?
Within 200 episodes.
Jesus Christ! What do you mean rapidly approaching? That is months from now.
In the grand scope of it.
Okay, all right. We have another question from chat for Dennis. Is there an NPC that you just couldn't keep from putting into the game who just wildly came to life for you? And now let's keep it in the scope of season 1 or season 2.
Right. Like I appreciate the question, Mimics, but like I said earlier, there are precious few NPCs actually in this game. Like, I think I can almost count them all across 2 seasons on one hand. So there's NPCs that I invented, because there's obviously people from each other's like Kimba. I'm not going to take credit for Kimba. That's fully Julie. So in season 1, there's King Dial and the pine fruit guy.
Captain Reed. Captain Reed.
Yeah, Captain Reed.
I forgot his name for a while too.
It's another pirate name. Mary Reed. Coincidentally, but still.
Yeah, 100% on purpose. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Oh.
Like, can you remember another NPC from season 1?
Yes. The person that was hiding me in their basement.
Yeah, there was like
And
a little
What
resistance.
was that
group.
person's name?
Kyle Hyde.
My guy, I don't remember what I ate for dinner last night. That was last year.
Dude, are we talking about named
Yeah.
NPCs? Because there was like an old dude on Snake Island who tried to stop the fight before it happened. It was like, wait, I remember that. Oh, I don't think it had a name, but it's like when everything was tense and it was like everybody jumping in.
I do vaguely remember this. He was innovative.
A throwaway.
Was another resident of the island for sure.
Jake says, what about Gambler Snake from Adam's recordings? Technically,
Yes.
I came up with the 2 snakes because I plucked them
That's
from
true.
Coralie's hair. I gave
Mhm.
all of the snakes that I plucked out, I gave names before
Names.
like sending them on to do their thing.
I love that. That was so much
Dennis
fun.
just happened to remember that. Mostly probably because, he literally did one recording to another recording to another recording. So I think it was easy for him to remember them. But it was really, really special seeing that gambling snake show up in that second recording that I wasn't a part of.
So there is the Gambler Snake. But again, I can't take credit for that one. And I don't think it's like... that's not someone that wildly came to life. That was definitely another like throwaway character. Like, this is a bit. We're not going to have an arc for this guy.
How dare you say one of my precious snakes is a throwaway character? Wow.
At this point, I'm just convinced.
You literally throw your snakes away.
Not into the trash.
There was a Sea King in season 1, episode 3, which admittedly was from the opening
That's
sequence.
Yep.
It did steal that directly from the opening. Is the pink one with the white cloud rings.
At this point, I'm just convinced you're lying to us about some of the NPCs, so you can have secrets for season 3. That's how I'm gonna take this, honestly. Because like
Then
people
you don't
took
know
photos.
how bad my memory is.
People took photos of us during the grass boy fight. I don't think he had a name.
That's true.
He's
They did.
he's dead.
No, he had a name.
That did happen away. It had to happen. Someone had to do that.
Someone had to do that.
Oh my god, the guy. Yeah.
Estelio Grass.
It was something like Estelio because I was like, that's too
Oh
close
wait,
to Zelio.
he had a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remembered it because it was so close to Zelio.
Captain. It was like vaguely
Fucking turn to stone now.
Latin, Spanish. I can't remember.
I just
what it
remember
was.
Estelio. That's all.
Emilio Estevez.
I think the answer is the same as the last NPC question that was asked. It's Spriff. Spriff was the one that came to life for me for no reason whatsoever. Like I had so much fun doing that voice as a bit, because I had literally just watched Office Space that weekend. And so Milton from Office Space was one of the inspirations for him.
Oh my god.
We just ramble on in the nerdiest possible voice with the thickest glasses, and it was, I guess that's the one that I couldn't keep from putting in the game once the concept came to me.
God.
Incredible. All right, friends. I think we've got time for one final question. And I'm happy for it to be mine or one of y'all's.
Waiting with bated breath.
When we officially pick our dates for season 3, because it's not an if at this point, it's a when. And I think I know when, because Dan has already put the reminder in the Discord for us to start planning.
So fun fact, I did this for season 2 as well. Like literally,
This
the
is
week
how
after, I was
season
like,
2 happened.
Well, I put it in the Discord, and I was like, remind me in like, I had to look up how to make Carlbot do it, and I was like, remind me in 4 months to like start talking about this. The week it was gonna go off, Jess messaged all of us. It's like, hey, it's time to start planning, and I was like, it hasn't even gone off yet. I have willed it into existence. That's we've made the proper sacrifices.
So when we start planning for season 3, let's put on some blinders of we continue in the universe that the Lavender Scale Pirates are already in. Let's say we're not bringing in any new blood. We're sticking with the Lavender Scale Pirates. What is one thing that you want to see happen with your character or with the crew as a whole?
I think I want Esmer to have a concrete new goal, because my goal, I this season I ended up riffing and goofing, but with King Dial gone, I feel like Esmer's only motivation was hang out with my friends. And there were a few moments in the roleplay where like I wasn't sure what Esmer was going to do, because they were built for combat and sneaking, and especially in episode 1 there was no enemy to fight. But I think if there is an overarching season goal or one personal goal that I can give to Esmer, that would assist my own roleplay. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye out for.
I think, and I want to pull this from something that Julie actually said earlier when talking about like things like that you wanted to, like the question that you want to ask, you want to like ask for your character, is that like mine's a bit in 2 parts. I want us to explore like a nation. I want us to like really get involved with the intricacies of the way a place is, and I want to come up against inertia. I want to come up against that kind of thing that we can't just overrun by turning it to stone and throwing it in the ocean, and not just on like a physical combat level, but like on a bigger scale. And moreover, and this is just me, because like this is the way I GM, it's the way I play, I kind of want to lose. I kind of want to lose. I want us to lose at something. Because
Our Sabbaty moment.
Well, yeah, because like, I think, and God, it was so fucking validating to hear this said during like interviews with Amanda Overton, like one of the Arcane writers, is that like one of the most interesting things you can ask a character is who are they when they have lost everything. When a character is defined by something and suddenly they don't have that anymore, who they are in that moment is so revealing and so interesting. And we have now spent 2 seasons growing and building a thing together. And we have this with each other. And we know, like, what each other, like, we all have gained something, right? Like, Esmer has this family now and has her brother back, right? Coralie has this ship and is this leader and is going to be the king of the pirates. Ash has a place and a partner. And, like, and there's something that each and every one of us has. What happens when that is either threatened or it is taken? I think that is a fascinating question to ask, and I think, like, as a goal, I want us to lose.
I think Esmer's missing thing would actually not be the brother or the crew, but if they were no longer a grasshopper.
Oh shit!
I know, dark, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck!
You hit on exactly what I was going to say, Dan, because characters become different people. They truly change when they are pushed all the way into a corner after having lost. It doesn't matter what form that loss takes. It could be like you lost a fight and the person who beat you took everything. But it could be something else. It could be like you got physically lost maybe, and you can't find your way back. And you slowly have to grapple with the concept, and each character takes it in their own time of like, how am I going to deal with not having this? But yes, I think I want to see what happens with each individual Lavender Scale pirate when they have lost. And I was hesitant to do this really in the first 2 seasons because I am not confident enough as a player to do something like that, to like actually do that much character growth that suddenly. But that's why I'm not in a player seat. I am confident in the abilities of everyone else at the table except mine as far as character development goes. And I selfishly, I want to learn from you guys as we play through this game. And I want to push that button, and I want to see what happens.
Incredible. I think I have 2 to 3 things that I would really like to see. And the first one is incredibly selfish. I would really like to use the heatless talent. I have kept a hold of it now for 2 seasons and haven't used it. And I thought really hard about saying, Dennis said that we could change up our character sheet. Maybe I'll kick it off. And then I was like, no, I'm going to use heatless in season 2. And then I just didn't get the opportunity. And that's okay. I thought that season 2 was perfect, but gosh darn it, I want to use it. I think my second thing that I would like to see is the Lavender Scale Pirates having a rival crew that they go up against. And maybe it's I don't know, for whatever reason, we were like, oh, yeah, let's go and get another poneglyph. Why not map all of them? But this other pirate crew gets to it first. Or just something to have them butt heads against that isn't necessarily the Navy. I think that would just be so fun and give a lot of rich areas for us to have role play, to see foils of characters, to see other folks that don't necessarily want to see the downfall of us, but also don't want to see us succeed, you know? And then my third thing would just be, again, getting into an opportunity where I get to use that goddamn talent of mine. I heard if you build up to 10 stab, you'll win a free car. Oh my god. Dennis, is this true?
Yeah, because you only get 1 stab per season,
That's-
and you lose it at the end of the season. If you can never have more than 1.
I actually heard that if it's your affinity group's month, you get more than 1 stab.
We have video evidence. Roll the tape. Roll the tape.
Props to Dennis for rolling with that, because a lot of GMs wouldn't have.
Oh no, I had no choice. We as people had so many reparations to make. So there was what was I gonna do? Say no? What?
Incredible.
Just
So
schedule
then
the
the
next
next
game
one
during
we
May.
need to do.
You
I
gotta
was
schedule
actually
during May for me
thinking,
and Julie.
what if we do during June? Because most of our cast is queer, and it would be awfully homophobic to deny us during Pride Month.
Do we want to lose or not? Do we want to lose or not?
I want to use. I
Do
want
we want to grow? Do we
I
want
want
to
to use
change?
8 points of stab and fucking lose.
This is turning into One Punch Man. You're just gonna be super powerful and only have to deal with being super powerful. That's gonna be your conflict.
Oh no. Okay, I lied.
Oh my
I lied.
God.
I have one last thing that I'd like to see in season 3, and that is more pre-recorded content that we can splash in on BRB screens, on end screens, and on starting soon screens to give just a little bit more richness and flavor to the story that we're creating. And obviously, you know, this was a one-off with Adam not being able to join us in a way that we just wanted to be able to include him. But when we start planning 4 months from now, shout out to Dan for the reminder, I think it would be so fun to think about little flashbacks that we can include, and whether that's a heist that we've done instead of kicking off the new season with a heist, and showing how we've grown and grown more connected as a crew. But ooh, that's just something that I really want to see. Jake says season 4 during Hispanic Heritage Month. I can see that happening too.
So much blood, so much water.
I have like been waiting to like have free time to like start making little like meme videos of like all the clips that we've gathered, and I even asked Ange for like the little PNG cutouts of the characters so I can like put them over them. So like when I have time again, I'm gonna start cobbling that together. And now that it's happened, I might also, just because I think it would be hilarious, maybe I like make like a Zeliash ship video for
Cute.
funsies.
I love it. Please do.
Oh my. You put the piano music over that, and I lost my mind. I just started like kicking my feet. I was like, "You got it? No way!"
It was kind of perfect. It was kind of perfect. But you know what's not perfect? The end. Not only has our stream series come to an end, but I think that our One Chat, One Piece talkback is also coming into an end. So everyone get your tomatoes out and throw them, because instead of rolling credits, we're going to start with our awesome projects that we have coming up, because there's a lot of talent on this screen right here. And there's even more talent that isn't currently on the screen right here. Of course, our 4 friends couldn't join us this evening, but they are just as much of part of the crew as we are. So make sure you follow everyone that you can see on screen. I'm going to start pressing buttons so you have all of the links. So who would like to kick us off as we sign off for now, but not for long?
I'll go because mine's pretty short. Once again, I am Dan Pixel, PYXEL, they, them. I've been playing Ash Carter, she, her, former Marine Lieutenant, now Pirate, full-time. And at this moment, I'm not doing that much. I have a couple things that are coming out. The next thing that's going to be coming out is next month. I did a one-shot with Clear XP for our Sacred Waters, which is a game where there is one human and 4 gods who control that human's fate on the sea, very like Odyssey-esque. And I'm so proud of that work, and that's coming out in March. It's one of my favorite little one-shots I've ever done. I am also still appearing in the Masks TTRPG podcast, Heroes Peak, Villain Prevention Squad, which I don't think it's been released yet. It's in editing, but I am so excited to do that, where I play Bionari, who is an ex-villain turned hero. God, I have a theme, don't I? Fuck. And then I will be at PAX East, in which I will be on at least one panel. And one of the other panels that I pitched has gone through. So if you are at PAX East, be sure to hit me up and come to the panels we're doing, which are the panels I've organized are from all Asian creators of the diaspora, and talking about things. I think the ones that passed were, we had one pitch by Raider VO, which was Asian aesthetics and dissolution, which was talking about the way that Asian voices are sometimes co-opted in narratives and what we can do to overcome that. And the other one being queerness and horror in TTRPGs and the way we tell stories and how they reflect each other, both of which I'm very excited for.
Dan, I'm not doing very much right now.
That's
Pixel.
May!
There's a lot of other stuff in there too. Hey, I have been Julie Julian or Julie CL. Probably the thing you can see me in soonest is with these streams over, I'm gonna shift focus back to my own Twitch channel and GMing a game for some dear IRL friends called Phantoms of the Neon City, inspired by cyberpunk, Persona, astrology, and more things that they love, because it is ultimately a gift to them. This summer, I am aiming to launch the Kickstarter for my tabletop RPG about death and strategy and changing the shape of the afterlife with your blade, so keep an eye out for that. I will also be at PAX East, chillin'. And very recent development, I might be working on something music related with Jake, TBD, because it's still very much in the experimental planning phases. But follow me, as well as Jake Lionheart and all the lovely people of our wider One Piece crew, to keep up with it.
I am Dennis. I have been the game master for seasons 1 and 2 of our One Piece Sagas game. I also wrote Sagas, and the one-pager we use to play Sagas in One Piece. I am doing a couple other things, but predictably almost all of them are Sagas related. The upcoming thing that I'm in that is actually not Sagas related is I will be on Dork Tales. They're doing a big ol' charity stream with many games throughout this month of the keys from the Golden Vault, the official D&D adventure book. So I'll be in one of those on Saturday. And then the other big things in my life are 1 week from today, version 0.9 of Sagas goes public. The rules are finished, and we've got some line art in there for you to feast your eyes on. It is not the final version. We are still working on the layout design and integrating all of those pieces of art fully drawn and edited and colored. And I want to show it off so bad, but I'm not allowed to. But that will be coming out in July. The final version 1.0 of Sagas will be available for purchase if you feel like it. It's going to be pay what you want wherever you can find it. So that's going to be my life. I'm also working on editing another one shot that I think I'm going to turn into 3 bite-sized episodes that was pre-recorded a couple weeks ago with a couple of really cool players, where we used the epic supplement and wrote poetry as we played. And it was a beautiful game. I finished editing the intro that's going to be at the beginning of each of the episodes this morning. So I'm very excited to show that off when the rest of it's ready to start airing. I have no idea when I'm going to finish that, but it's on its way. I promise. And back to Jess. What are you doing?
Well, first, I just want to say thanks again to Dennis for weaving this really fun story. I had been looking forward to February for a very long time. I think we put from the time we said we're going to do a second season to the time where it aired, I think there was like maybe six to 7 months in between of us just waiting.
Okay.
And this has been a big highlight and joy of the year so far. So I just wanted to say thank you again. I want to thank the 3 of y'all for joining. I know, Jake, you really wanted to be here, and we were happy to have you in chat at least. Traffic is a bummer, and we hate to hear it, but happy that you were here, pal. And then stay on the lookout for season 3. Who knows if it's coming in 2025 or if we're going to wait for 2026, but it will happen, right, Dennis?
I can't say no at this point. We talked way too much about it. Yeah, season 3 is gonna happen.
All right, that is
It's on
my
tape. It's on tape.
favorite
Friends and
commitment.
family, you heard it here. You heard it here. It is on tape. It is recorded.
Hell
Yep.
yeah. With that being said, I have a couple of fun things happening right now. The most fun being RPGs for Accessible Gaming. It is a bundle on itch.io that is supporting Dot's RPG project, an amazing organization that is trying to improve accessibility in all tabletop games. The Braille dice are literally just out of reach for me, but last year they created, well, not last year, they've been working on them for a really long time, but last year we helped fund these Braille dice, and this year they would like to fund single sets of dice, basically, because not every system is a D20 system. We all know that Yahtzee uses like 6d6, so you can't buy 6 sets of 7 dice. Oh, that's a weird thing to say. I mean, you can do that, but that's a lot of dice, and you don't need that many dice. So they're just trying to make more dice a reality that are Braille for blind and visually impaired gamers. I will drop that link into chat in a moment. If you want to keep up with all of the charitable efforts that I have, go to my Substack. It's charitytrpgs.substack.com. I talk about all of my TTRPG charity streams, all of my TTRPG charity bundles, auctions that I do, and all of the efforts that I have to helping empower other people to do the things that I do. That's really important to me because the more folks that you have fundraising in the community, the better. And then finally, if you're interested, you can go to my Patreon. There are paid and free options where you can keep tabs on all of the things that I'm doing. I'm going to be doing little miniature updates throughout the month, and then one mega update on all of the things that I did throughout the month. And when I did the write-up for February, I was like, holy shit, I did all that. That's wild. So if you're interested in checking that out, please do. There's also membership benefits like love and a forehead kiss, voting on what charities will support, as well as seeing your name up on screen on like BRB and in screens. So with that being said, Julie, I know technically yesterday in our live stream that we had pre-recorded, you gave the last grasshopper quote, but I think we could do one more, right?
We certainly can if the captain commands it. First of all, the sentiment of the one yesterday remains true. Take care of your communities. So let's say grasshoppers are famously good at taking care of themselves too. Get your sleep, drink your water, make sure to give time for the things that bring you joy and help you relax among trying to do all the things for all the people that you love. It is a hard balance out there between the work and the fun, but it is an important one. You need the fun to do the work.
Ain't that the truth? Take care of yourself, friends, until we see you again. We love you. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.